But this is Google Apps for advanced users. And I don't really want that to scare you, but this is kind of some advanced topics. But I think that it is life-changing. I kind of found out about these two tools that we're going to talk about today over the summer, and I got so excited that even though I didn't have access to Infinite Campus, I went through and made spreadsheets with rosters for 140 kids just so I'd be ready to do this now in August when school started. So I'm very excited, and I'm hoping, partly because these tools I haven't actually used in practice. I can imagine a million ways that I'm going to use them, but bear with me because you know, it's not tested just yet. So today my hope is that we're going to talk about how you can distribute, manage, and grade Google documents with ease. Okay? One of my biggest complaints especially a middle school teacher, is I have 140 kids. 100 of those are one grade level. So if I give an assignment via Google Docs, I have to give 100 copies, receive 100 copies, tell 100 students to rename them and cross my fingers that they rename it and spell my name right when they share it back with me. And Gustafson's not the easiest name to spell. So I have a lot of issues with this. So another reason I'm so excited. So, what do you get? So here's my question for you. What do you get when you cross a doctor and an octopus?
Doctopus.
You get Doctopus, which is awesome and so life-changing. And this is our little icon that we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about. So Doctopus kind of acts, in my mind, as a photocopy machine for your Google Drive. Okay? So as a teacher, when I do hard copies, I have a master copy of the assignment. I'll go to the photocopy machine, I'm going to make 100 copies, I'm going to pass them out to my class, the kids are going to put their name on it, they're going to do the assignment, they're going to hand it back into me, and then I get to grade all 100 of those, right? That's what we know, that's what we do, okay? Doctopus basically takes this and makes grading, distributing, managing a large amount or a small amount if you're an elementary class teacher. It makes it a lot easier to do these steps, okay? So that's really where I'm going to start. That was the extent of my cuteness. So now we're going to get into, I was hoping that the elementary teachers would be impressed because I don't.
Loved it, it was great.
Very.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
So my problem is, though, I guess I should just expand on it a little bit more. So my problem with Google Docs is when I do give an assignment. Let's say I have some questions that I want my students to answer. Maybe it's questions that I want them to answer after they've read a passage. Maybe I want to give them an electronic copy of note cards that I want them to do some research with. I want to be able to see, I want to be able to give feedback, I want to do all of this stuff. But as I said, the hardest part for me is how do I get the information to the students and how do I get it back from them? And this is what Doctopus does. So there are some really great videos, and I can give you the links, or I'll share with you guys the presentation that I have that has the links. Because I don't know that doing this the first time, doing it once or watching it once is going to be enough. I've watched the videos 3, 4, 5, 6 times over the summer, and I feel like I'm just now kind of getting into the swing of it. So essentially what you have to do is, just like I would do on a paper, a hard copy assignment, I have to create a digital master of what I want my students to do, okay? Doctopus is good for distributing assignments to students, like a class syllabus, like a procedures, like a handout on expectations for a presentation they're supposed to give. It's good for distributing information easily to students, because I don't have to type in 100 emails through Doctopus, it'll do it for me, or 25 emails, it'll do it for me. And I can also give the students an assignment that they have to complete, so they get in and edit, and then I can get in, and instead of receiving 100 emails that says, so-and-so shared this assignment with you, and then I have to organize them and put them all into folders. This does it all for you. So let me show you, because I'm really excited, and let me just show you where I am. So let me get into my Google stuff here, so bear with me, it's a little slow. A lot slow. Okay, so essentially, the first step that you need to do, okay, the first thing that you need to do, the most important thing that you need to do, is you need to create a roster of your students, okay? And the roster needs to look, and if you guys need me to make it bigger, let me know. But essentially, the first step is you're going to make a roster for all of your students. You can make one master roster that you make copies of, because you need a separate roster for each assignment or Google Doc that you're going to send out. Okay, so I've made this rubric. I have my other rosters. This is my example roster. I would go to my original roster, file, make a copy, and I would rename it for whatever the assignment is. Okay, so if this was, yes?
Is the roster, I just made that off of the template, or does that have to be something specific, how they want it?
Okay, good question. So it's kind of up to you. I like to designate between first names and last names. You could just have a name column, but you definitely need to have a name column, their email address, and then a flag category. And I'll explain what that means, okay, or the purpose of that in just a minute. Okay. Once you have your roster set up, essentially what you are going to be able to do is you're going to run the script. So you have to install, so a script, if you don't know, a script goes with Chrome. So back up the steps, you have to have Chrome to do this. If you're not using Chrome, it's not going to work. Okay, so a little disclaimer. In Chrome, I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go to my script gallery, and I'm going to search for Doctopus. Okay, well, because it's so popular, it's the second one on the list. Okay, I'm going to install Doctopus, and like I said, don't get stressed out because I have really good videos that I can share with you. I'm going to install Doctopus on my spreadsheet. Okay.
So you have to insert it on each spreadsheet for each
Every
class?
time you're going to use it, yes, yes.
Okay.
So because I'm going to distribute, I'm going to give some questions to my sample roster, so you'll see. So I'm going to authorize it. It's going to tell me that it wants my, access to all my stuff, and I'm going to say yes because it's going to do all the work for me. So double yes. Okay, and it says that it's installed, so I'm going to close. Okay, now it's added up here to my menu, a Doctopus drop-down menu. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and launch my installation. It's going to run a script, and now it's going to ask me how I want to share my document. So I'm going to share an assignment with these students to their accounts through Doctopus. Okay, so I have to decide how, and this is so awesome. Okay, I get to decide how I want to share this document. Do I want to share it with groups so the kids can work in groups and each group can get a separate assignment? I can send an individual assignment, so all the kids have one exact same assignment that's all the same. Everybody's going to do the same work. They're going to turn it in the same. Everybody gets the same thing. I can also do it where every single student gets an assignment, but they're differentiated. So maybe if I have some kids that I need to make accommodations for, I can tailor make that assignment for them, that Google Doc for them. Okay? I can also make a document that I share with the whole class that the whole class has access to. So if I want the whole class to collaborate on something, I have the ability to do that as well. Okay? So let's just say I'm going to, for the ease of this assignment, I'm going to give everybody their own document, but they all get the same document. Good so far? Okay. I can decide now if I want their classmates to have access to everyone else's documents. Might be helpful in some cases. In this case, not so much. They might be able to view or comment, but I don't want anybody else to be able to access each student's individual document. Okay? And I want my students, my individual student access level, I want them to edit, not just view or comment. But you have those options.
But don't they have to make a copy of it?
Nope.
Oh.
This is going to do all that craziness. It's going to, you'll see, it's going to be magic. Yes. Okay. And I also check here that editors cannot change the sharing permissions. So I don't want the editors to be able to share it with their friends or their mom or whoever. Okay, so I want them to keep it. Now, if I was working with Terry Ray on a project for my 6th graders, I can also put in a cooperating teacher that I also want to be an administrator and have ownership of the documents as well. So essentially, if I share this with Terry, she's going to get a copy of this roster and have the exact same permissions and access that I do. Okay, so then as I go down, okay, then I have to look at my roster settings. So I have to make sure that I have to tell it what sheet I'm going to use, which at the bottom here it says sheet 1 over here. Okay, column containing student email addresses. Well, that's why I set it up to say email addresses, so I knew with ease which column that was. So it's email address. And then column containing excused designation, that's my flag. So if I'm going to excuse students, if I'm going to put them in groups, I can label them like A, B, A, B, A, B. I can label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However I want to distribute that, I can do that. And that's what that flag column is for. Okay, so as I go through,
But if you click on the flag column, where do you get to later make those designations?
you would need to do that before, if I was doing a differentiated assignment, or project groups, then I would have to have that set up in my roster before I run this part.
So in the flag column, if I put Stewie Lehman in that, it'll notice that, or?
So it would be whatever designations I want to make. So let's say that I want, I have a class of 25 kids, I want 5 kids to work on each assignment or each different chapter or whatever it might be. Then I would say all the kids that have a 1 next to their name will get number 1 handout. All the kids marked number 2 will get the different, does that kind of make sense? Okay. So once I get here, I'm going to hit Save Settings, and my little Doctopus comes up, and he's going to do his work, and he's going to be fabulous. And you just have to wait. And now it's going to ask me which document do I want to distribute to my students. So here I'm going to select my folder that has my document template. And it doesn't have them nested, so if you have like folders within folders, they're all folders, they're all alphabetical, so these are all the folders that I have access to or have made some, have been shared with me. So I put everything for my purpose in the Doctopus folder. No, choose which document, this is my document, I'm sorry. Documents, Doctopus, okay, so I can't remember off the top of my head what I'm trying to distribute, so I'm going to go back to my drive, and this is what I want to do. See, this is my demo rubric, presentations. Doctopus, oh, they're there. Okay, so these are so this is the assignment that I want to give out. So this is in theory, thank you, sorry for that. These are section 5 questions that I want to hand out, I want my students to complete. Okay, so like this is the assignment I'm going to get. And these go with a reading from my textbook. Okay, so this is what I'm going to distribute, so I got to go back and find this assignment in my big list. Choose which documents to copy. Oh, so here I am going to the folder, it says select the folder. You guys follow me? I'm sorry, I got confused. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to select my folder, it's in the folder called Doctopus, that's why I got distracted. I know, so depending on how crazy your drive looks, makes it more difficult. Okay, select the item you want to copy and share. So I want to do the Doctopus, or the document, Doctopus World War II Section 5 questions. That title matches this assignment that I want to be sent to my kids. Okay, this is my master copy. It's going to make a copy of it and give it to everybody else, all my kids. Saving my settings, it gets better. What this can do gets better. Because it seems a little cumbersome, but you'll love it. Okay, so I then need to select a destination folder for the copied files. So what it's going to do is it's going to create, so instead of kids having to file, make a copy of my document, rename it, reshare it with me, it's going to create all of the documents with the students, however I prescribe the document to be called. It's going to share it with me. I'm going to be the owner of the document. It's going to send an email, share it with the student, and then I'll be able to do some other things with it. Okay, so I need to know where I'm going to dump this assignment. So I have to have a place for it to go. So I, for instance, in my drive, over here, I have, as you can see, I have student work. So this is student work 13, 14. I have copies of the last, these are in folder, where I dump my student work. You might be a little bit more organized, so you can do it by project, if that's how it is for you. I don't have enough time to go through and sort through all of it, so I just need it in one place. Yes?
So this is like, in the old version of, like, if all my students were, I don't know, doing a newspaper article and they shared it with me, I would then be taking all those and I'd be dropping them into a folder. So
Yes.
this is like doing it on the front
Yes.
side. I set the
Yes.
folder up first and then it will
Yes.
copy it all, and all of those, all my 25 kids, all their copies of this assignment will be in a folder in my drive.
In your drive.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
So on the student's end, then, right after they did what Camille was saying, so they just receive that in an email and say, work on this document, answer these questions, and then they say, save, done, and they're done.
Yes.
They don't have to move it anywhere.
They don't have to. And that's one thing that is good for us to have a conversation about is how do we get our kids to manage their drives, because that's a skill that we need to teach them as well. And there's also something else that we'll be talking about later this year where there's actually a function in Doctopus where I can tell Doctopus where to put it in the student's drive.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's like these mini extensions that come out, but it's doing all the hard stuff for us. Does that make sense? Did I answer? Okay. So, going back to here, so I created Doctopus demo student work. That's where my work is going to go for my students that I'm going to create. Okay, so I've got to go find this up here. And again, my folder that I want it to go into, I'm looking for Doctopus student work. It's all alphabetical. Okay, that's where it's going to dump everything. If I wanted to create it on the fly right here, I can create it within this place, which is awesome too. Okay, and then it says use these variables to substitute spreadsheet values into the fields below. So what I want to do next is how am I going to name that file? So if you have a standard way that you ask students to name their work, you can do that here. So I would probably say, I'm going to do it by last name, and I'm just going to copy this because it has to be exact. Last name, underscore, section 5, questions. Okay. When I get there, it says notify, so that's how it's going to come up. So it's going to be Midler's section 5 questions, Burnett's, and so on. Notify document editors immediately upon sharing and resharing. So if somebody shares this or reshares it, I need to know about it. I can check that. I have that option. Just it's kind of having that control, my finger on their document. Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, this is good.
So let's say like in elementary school, I think we typically have kids name things with the first initial last name. So if I want their document to be named that, then I need to make sure that in my spreadsheet,